Whiki mai kahe ba. Kau te takata mo te Karakia, no reira tēnei tātou rangatira he kōrero tonu i a koutou I roto te whakatau. No reira, me tīmatanga tātou mo tēnei Karakia. Number 40, just coming through. 41.
41!
No reira, me tīmatanga tātou, I roto te mate te tamo me te wairu e tapu. Te whai mai te wai, o hui tono mātou I roto tātou whare o te Rauhina. Aroa nui ki a koe, ko whakapaingi na haeringa mai o tātou I rungu te kuarai, a tai ana mātou o tēnei hui. No reire, aroa nui ki a koe mo tērā. Engari, ho mai ki a mātou ngā kupu kōrero mo te oranga tia o tēnei hui. No reire, ngā mea māwiwitanga I roto tātou hui, I roto te hoipe, I roto tātou kāingi, I roto ngā mga laimaha, me piki ki ora ki a tātou katoa, I roto te matu, te tama me te wairu e tātou. Āmen. Kia ora.
Tēnā rā tātou. Tātou e whakawhaiti mai nei I tēnei ata. Ki te whiriwhiri ngā kōrero, ngā take, ngā raru pēr. E pāna kia tātou me ki te Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua. Te mea nui kia ko tai mai tātou I rungi I tēnei kaupapa. Te roho ki tātou tēnei nā re e puta mai. Engari nā I tēnei nā ka puta mai. Tēnā rā ki tō tātou nei pakeke a whet. Kia ora koe te whanau. Ko koe te koatu me ki. Te koatu. Tai noa rea ki tō tātou nei whanau a tō. Ko rua I tēnā tūranga I nā nei te iwa te kau. Me ona mahi koe. Nō reira, a tēnā kōrua, tēnā kōrua. Karo e whenei ko tātou ngā rangatahi. Nō reira, e hara I te mea e tū tēnei ki te mihi noi hao. Hara mai au ki te tautoko. Nā mahi o tō tātou nei komiti. O rātou mahi. Toro nui ho nā tau. I haina mai tātou I tō tātou krema. 3 years and it's taken us and we've come this far. So I'm absolutely overjoyed to know that the people we've put in place have carried on with their duty. They're not just there to look pretty. They're there, it's a duty, their duty to put forward things for the people, for our people. And I think that myself, that they're doing a wonderful job. And through it all, there's ups and downs, there's a little time of where they run into now and again. But through it all, they've come through and brought us to this day. And now we have our annual report. I'm looking forward, I haven't got around to reading, I was saying hello to everybody, I haven't got around to it. But anyway, nō reira, I roto I ngā whakapapa e whāna ki a tātou. Ngā whakapapa o te uite, o te whakakī, e tai noa, ki tēnei kaina ki I tua, Ngamotu. Tēnā koutou. Te mea hoki ki au nei, kei te noho mai o tātou mātua, o tātou tipuna, I wahona. Kei te mātakitaki rātou, he haramahi o tēnei hui. Ko puta mai rātou, ki te whakarongo. Nō reira, I roto e nei mihi noi ho. A whakatau mai tātou ki rungi I tō tātou nei marae. Te mea hoki, koe nei te marae, tuatahi o te wairoa, ko Ngamotu. Hara mai te tāki timu, whakatau mai te tāki timu I konei. Koe nei te marae e tū mai, a mai rāno I te hara mai o te tāki timu. Nō reira, ngā marae I ro te rohe o te wairoa. Haramai, hoki mai tō rātou whakapapa ki tēnei marae. Nō reira, kia mohi o tātou. Hara tēnei marae, he marae nohe, he marae tuatai. Mai I te tākiti. Nō reira, me mutua pahu I konei. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. Tēnā tātou katoa. Kia ora. Kia ora. I'll give it back to the chairperson.
Kia ora, uncle. It's really lovely to hear those words come out of your mouth. It's funny. As we sit here, we actually always reflect on the fact of how we're doing and always thinking how you would think we were doing and how we are coping going forward, because our role here is about the aspirations and trying to bring those to fruition, following from what you've put in place, you and your whānau before us. So, kia ora uncle and kia ora Papa Bill. Just a note before we head in, there is a black notice from the neighbour that there's an owner of a black station wagon that's blocking their driveway. Can you please move it if it belongs to one of you? Kāhui. So it doesn't. I don't know why. So it doesn't. Okay, should we get into it? Okay, morning te whānau, very nervous here. No mahi mai to our first AGM hui. We're just going to get into it. But what I'm going to put at the front end is there are a number of resolutions that states in the front. Part of our trustee is that when a resolution comes forward, can we ask by way of hands to show if you're for, please, and that will, so we can note it that way. Ka pai? Okay. So we're going to start off with our values. And if you had attended our hui, it's just some key points that we want to go and reflect on first. So as we're going through our hui, can we reflect that these are going to be our guiding values? So if any hara comes up, please reflect back to our values. Inspire, whakawhanaungatanga, inspire courageous leadership aligned with our hapu and continue to strengthen belonging. Tikanga, perseverance to uphold the tikanga and kaua on our marae and in our everyday lives. Wairuatanga, encourage and nurture the connection of spiritual and physical well-being and the beliefs of our hapu. Manaakitanga, we achieve integrity through caring for ourselves and our manuhiri. Kaitiakitanga, rejuvenate and protect our taio for the benefit of our hapu and our future generations. Kei te tika? That's it for our values. Our mission statement. Be courageous together, driven by our tikanga and kaua to achieve marae sustainability. Empowered by spiritual and physical well-being to strengthen social development, while acknowledging the integrity of our environment and economy to build a prosperous future. Ka pai? Our vision.
Hui nā kia puohoi. So that was something that we worked on together to basically try and reflect what our mission was and what we wanted to point out, that we're on a journey together. We are empowered and we want to get to a state of being prosperous. So that's basically, if you want to nut down what we're looking at, that's it.
Just a question in on that vision, Bob, in terms of hopefully it's not set in stone.
No.
And that every 1, 2 or 5 years there's a review of our vision. Yeah. Until we settle, Yeah, and it's likely that the vision will change over time. As we move forward in our journey and get to a point, then, we might be setting another point out there.
And I think too, Uncle, in regards to looking at the future of our rangatahi coming through, their vision and their perspective of what their lenses will look like, so our change will happen in growth. So we'll come through that reflection. Cool. And then Chairman's Report. Hands up if you read my Chairman's Report. Oh, ka pai!
I'll move that we accept the chairperson. I second it.
Oh, kia ora.
Any highlights?
Yeah, is there any highlights in there? Are you okay to play? Move on? Yeah. Wow. Thank you.
So that's been moved, it's been seconded.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Is there any discussion?
Oh,
Whilst you're reading through that, I'll just briefly recap what we think our highlights are for this year. And that is, this year was very much as we needed to set up a lot of things to establish the trust. So we've been doing a lot within, organising our finances, organising our administration and other stuff that we need. Perhaps the most critical component after that we've been working on is our strategic plan. And that's where our focus certainly has been over the next 3 months, over the past 3 months, sorry. What we have tried to do, and we couldn't quite get there, based on the feedback that we got from our hui on the strategic plan, and also feedback that's come in since then, we have tweaked that a bit. And we also started over the last month looking at what's our activity plan for next year. Unfortunately, we didn't get it into a state where we can share that with you today. We were trying to, but that'll be complete within the new year. So in terms of taking those things that we shared in our strategic plan, putting those into actual actions that we can get people on board to go and do.
One of the things what I want to mention is the dynamics of 3 individuals who represent 3 different marae have come together to honona and kōrero and try and run on one smooth stream. So we've done that. I'm really proud about the relationship that we've made in this space, because the only way we can do this for you is to make sure we move as one. And that's starting from the start here at your table. So our relationship has built from March to no Joanna to now I'm like in her face and she's in mine. She's definitely in ours. We love it. But it just shows the amount of the lengths that we're willing to go in regards to making sure that we honona and get our discussions across the table to represent you all. So that doesn't reflect much, and that won't reflect much in our paperwork, because that's naturally how we do things. But what reflects, we meet weekly through Zoom, 6 hours, sometimes while you're on holiday, you're Zooming every night, that's part and parcel. So that doesn't really reflect much in the report.
so I might be able to make an observation on this, notwithstanding there's still certain parts of the annual report that we need to go to that are reflective of the mahi that we've done.
Yeah.
So I'm not one of the kāhui trustees, and so I want to offer this observance. And when I look at the comparative, so the part I play in is TToTW, it's Wairu. And what I've been able to observe is not only the energy and the mahi and the commitment that you put into on behalf of Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua, but also the products that are evidence in terms of that work. And not only about this report, but actually for you to have brought out your strategic plan, to be somewhere down the track in terms of the annual program of work that you're looking at, your activities. I just want to commend and congratulate you in terms of these products that are evidence of what you're actually doing on all of our behalf. So, you need the me.
Any questions?
Any questions on the report? Those in favour, can we raise our hands? Majority, kāpai toma. Moved.
So consolidated financial statements on the treasurer for our kāhui. So this has been my task over the last 6 months was to get our accounts together so that we could produce our consolidated financial statements. So I'll just briefly go through the key points to that.
At the back.
So if we can all turn to our report.
Financials.
Sorry, we didn't put page numbers on this, but towards the end of the report there is the annual report for Te Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua, and it's been prepared by Tarrant Potter. So Tarrant Potter are the accountants that we engage to basically manage our accounts. So I'm just going to read through highlights of this. Particularly of note, according to our trustee, our accounts need to be audited. We haven't done that in this first year, and there are a couple of reasons for that. One is that the auditor is supposed to be appointed at the AGM. We've said that there's a resolution to appoint the auditor for next year. The other one was that one of the criteria for TToTW doing the distribution is that the accounts needed to be audited. Realising that kāhui were all in the same position where we're just basically in start-up, TToTW have given us dispensation for our accounts not to be audited within the first year. The other sort of thing that came in for us was, in terms of audit fees, they range from about $2,500 to $5,000. So for the minimal activity that we had done in our startup, we didn't consider that we required it for this year. We certainly have a motion to appoint our auditor for next year, but just for this year, because our activity was minimal, because we got the dispensation on next year's distribution from TToTW, as trustees, we've not gone ahead and had our accounts audited this year. But I'm happy to go through all the financial figures that are in there and explain those off to you. Was there any questions on that particular point?
Auditors of thieves.
Yeah, well, you know, that's $2,500 to $5,000 that you're paying them to check work.
That's for this year, but God knows what they're dreaming up for next year.
So if you have a look on the page that says statement of profit or loss, you'll basically see at a high level what our income and expenses are. It gets broken down further into the report. So,
Small. I don't want mine. We'll make it bigger.
yeah, and we've got to get our scanning a bit clearer. But if you have a look at it in terms of our income was from two sources during the year. Our main income was from the distribution income, $352,333. $352,333. And then we also had interest income from that money sitting in our bank accounts, which amounted to $30. So total income down there is $352,363. On the expenses, we had, so our this reporting period is from 20th of November 2018, when the trust was established, and it's up to the end of our financial reporting year, which is the 30th of June. So we had to go to IRD for dispensation around that date there of 30th of June, because it's typically the 31st of March. Our rationale, you've got to have a reason to go changing that. The reason we did it was to keep in line with TToTW.
Excuse me, Bob.
Yep.
Bob, but you wouldn't have it on the screen there, the little, it was blurry on some of these financial reports.
That wasn't done purposely, by the way. It was not done purposely at all.
But I reckon
yes, sorry Phil, I'll just try and pull it up.
I really just thought that you'll find my chairman report more interesting, hence why it's got bigger letters.
Do we ask questions at the end, Madam Chair?
Yes, you may.
Let's go. Thank
So just while Bob's finding that file, the condition for the next distribution from TToTW, which is December this year, next month, just a slight addition to the condition that Bob mentioned, and that is no need for an audited financial account for the distribution this year. You still need the AGM minutes and a copy of the annual report. And for subsequent year, you're required to pick up this small amount of time pre-30 June. So that all gets drawn into the next year, so that it's all held to, it's all accounted. So there's another $352,333 that the Kāhui Trust is able to receive in December this year.
Cool. Judy, is that after the Tato AGM or before?
It's outside of the AGM. It's already approved as part of the trustee process. Oh, new moment.
While Bob's doing that, while Bob's doing that, if we look at the lovely photos that were taken inside of our puka puka, they do reflect our areas of Iwitea, Ngamotu and Whakakī. Joanna's not only beautiful and talented, she's definitely good with a camera. She went around during the times that we've had hui's here and gone and taken photos, so we can start using them on here and in our website page. So when our whānau see from overseas or wherever they are, they can see the reflection of what's coming at home. So that's
Just a question, Madam Chair. I just wondered when, is there any planning to engage some staff?
yes, what Uncle you
You know, in terms of the runway, I mean, TWNART are about to engage some staff to carry out a lot of the work that's being done. I mean, trying to get you three together on the same page at the same day, at the same minute, on the same time, is almost impossible. So I think it's almost time that some staff would engage, whether they be part-time or whatever, that to take care of the matters that need to be taken care of.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit around our strategic plan further on. No, it's not. Some of what I spoke to earlier before around hoping to bring to you our work plan and show you a version of that. It's in that, but we can only talk to it today.
Uncle, you're running faster than our we give him knowledge there. We give him
that, cuz?
No, I was waiting for the one.
Oh, right, okay.
Chairs up here, I think.
Yeah.
There's a lovely
Sorry,
seat
I
here.
just got through the income side on that, so there's no questions on that. Going through the expenses. Most of our expenses up until the end of June were related to the elections of our first elected trustees, which was held at the end of March. So we needed to spend, and there is a breakdown further in the report there of what these are, almost 16,000 on getting our elections done. With this beneficiary engagement there, that's to do with the video recording of the hui that we have and putting it up online so that our members who aren't able to attend can find out what's going on, what we're talking about, etc. $10 trustees expense.
Gee, these are cheap.
Cheap, yeah, we're actually cheaper than $10. So, this is an accounting thing. So to start off the trust as at the 20th of November, I actually call hard $10 over to the trust.
It's the same $10.
It's the same $10. Accounted, so that's gone as capital, and you'll see that on one of the next pages coming up. There's $10 in capital for us. But being accounting, that credit has to be offset by a debit. So the accountants have decided in this wisdom that they'd offset that $10 koha against trustee expenses. So I didn't want to get really into a conversation with Luke around how come I gave $10 and now saying that, there's $20 that have been taken out. But that's accounting for you. So all in all, our overall, so we paid on the $30 interest we received, we paid $10 tax. So that's our net income down the bottom there, 33496. Are there any questions on that?
I mean, it might be quite obvious to most people. 352,000, $30 interest.
Yeah, that's at our 0.25 that we're currently earning in account.
Childhood. If it would be in there. Yes.
Yeah, so we need to start doing something about it, but you know, we've also had a lot of other things that we've been.
We've been mainly focusing on trying to formulate and set us up. So when we start working into 2020, we're actually looking into this, on what we can build our assets and what can we do with that. So at the moment it has been sitting in that space. Thank you for highlighting it.
Yeah, no, you know, we can do a lot better than that.
Yeah.
Although if you're dealing with banks, you're not going to do, you know, you can get up to 2% maybe. But if you want to try and earn more than that, then you're looking at taking it out of the banks and investing it elsewhere. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
So this is just a different view, balance sheet. So where are we? This is just what a breakup of what our assets are and what our liabilities. So in terms of the asset, it's all cash at the moment. We don't have anything. We haven't, you know, spent any money on capital or whatever. So that's all in the bank account. The liabilities here. So we don't have any current liabilities. The unearned income, that $57, is from a period of IRD. Will work from the 31st of March. So that's our accrued liabilities off that interest from 31st of March until the end of June. If that makes sense. Yep. So any questions on that one? What it's saying is at the end of the day, we've got a total equity in Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua of 334,970.
There's your $10.
Yeah, so this is the $10 being put in as the trust capital and the retained earnings from our income, profit and loss stuff. So that was just the changes in equity there, $10 in, that was the koha, and then the income also being put into our equity.
And this is all up to the 30th of June, eh?
30th of June, yeah, which
Things
is
may
our
have changed a
year
little
end.
bit since then.
Yes, we have done a bit more spend to it, but yeah, ours is to report the year end, our year end financials. Yeah. Cash flows, if anybody's interested in cash flows, that's just another view of how the money moves. It's the same numbers that are displayed in a different way. If anybody has any questions on this, they can ask me.
The equity will change dramatically next month when TToTW make the next drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the equity will be figured out at the end of the financial year. So yes, we're going to have that income, and then we're also going to have expenses, and then whatever left over will become our equity for 2020. So this is just a statement for the preparation of the accounts, which I won't go through. If anyone has any questions of that, they can ask me. Or they can ask a couple of accountants in the room.
Yeah, I know it yesterday.
So the biggest thing to highlight here is that sorry, this is the income tax side of things. So very much the same thing. What Terence Potter had done is just itemised a bit further where our election expenses went down to. But this is a view of it from a tax perspective.
Hey Bob, I just got a question.
You might.
Existing Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua account, has that money been put into this account?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
It's
So
still been moving over, yeah.
Okay.
I think last month we got round to having the meeting to wind it up, and
So how much is that account?
That at the moment I don't know, we've got probably around 2 something I'm going to meet up with Liz and we'll move it over.
Right.
They need 2 signatures.
So there's no report on that account at all today?
No, because that's not part of the space. But we can have, and plus we don't have it on us, sorry. But there should be still 2,000 something included. Unless it's grown some interest, but I doubt it.
I thought there might be
So the other thing to highlight in there is the arrangement, the distribution arrangement that we've got for TToTW. So it states in there what our distribution is going to be over this year and the next 2 years as well. So over that 3-year period, we'll receive just over $1 million.
Excuse me.
Just a question, I know it's
Through
not.
the chair.
Yes?
Sorry, just going back to statement of changes in equity.
Yep.
What was the reason for the accountant putting trustees' income, that money towards the trustees' income?
$10?
No, the 374,000.
Because it is income.
To the trustees though. it's
To
not.
the trust?
Trustees, no, it's got trustees' income for the period. Why do they put it that like that? Because to me, people that don't live here, not from here, out of town and everything might think that you fellows have got this money, when we know it's the trust that's got this money. Why would they put it like that?
I think it's like that because the trust is the people,
Who would govern
the
it?
trust, the legal, when you define a legal entity, and it has the trust fund, it always has the trustees. So it would be the same for the income. It's treated as the trustees' income being whoever the trustees are,
At the
because they're
time.
the people that act legally on behalf of the
Yeah.
trust.
So that's what we worded?
I
No,
think
that's
that's
how it is in
That's
every
that's
single
how it
trust.
is.
Yeah, I know that, The people who don't know this stuff, I know you fellows do.
I think it's probably just that maybe you need to just explain that rather than
Yeah.
change it, because
Yeah.
otherwise it'll be different than everybody, than what law dictates as well.
Kia ora.
Explanation, eh?
Yeah,
Kia ora.
that's maybe an extra note.
Kia ora, I mean, I think that's, and Liz, thank you for bringing that, I think that's what we need to put down the bottom, just highlighting that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So everyone is to know that it's part and parcel of how it's with the accounting.
Yeah, so it's an important thing to note because why it's worded that way is because at the moment, the three of us, we're carrying liability for the trust. So we've had that discussion around that. The only way that you'd be able to get it in any other form in terms of that is if we were to incorporate, which would then, make us not personally liable for financials of the trust.
Which is on a registered entity.
No.
No.
But I think we'll just go back to the first part there, and it's about, we'll make a footnote on our harmonies and stuff that we go out when we put out stuff like that, so it's just clear.
Thanks.
Kia ora?
Another question I have in terms of the tax liability, is there no such thing in our books?
Yes, there is. So like we've been taxed here, Uncle, any income that we generate, like that $30 worth of interest, we're going to get taxed at 33%.
And that's pretty much nothing on the grant, nothing on the drop from time?
No, so no,
No GST?
No.
nothing. Yeah, that is coming through to us.
It's taxed on the
So that's money, yeah.
Oh, it's just that, in your balance sheet and everything else, there was no tax around there. I'm thinking to myself now, either we're a privileged species, or there's something in the tax thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's been...
Just another question is that, is the Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua a charitable organisation?
No, it's not.
We're not registered yet.
No.
And as this trust, we won't be. But it's quite within our mandate to set up charitable trusts underneath this trust here, so that we can direct funding to that, so it doesn't get taxed. We can. So even though that's income, it's income that's been given to us. We haven't generated it. And because of that, we don't have any tax. If we were to take that 300,000 there and invest it somewhere else and start producing income, that income is going to get taxed at 33%. But if we want things for the benefit of the people, that's where we give money to a charitable trust, and then they can do whatever they like, invest it, and it's not going to get taxed because they can only spend that money on charitable things. Yeah, but you know, the benefit of that is that they're not getting taxed on it.
Ka pai oku?
Madam Chair.
So income tax through.
Being the first year of operation, yeah, there's all the settling down period and finding your way, and I'm trying to find your way up here too as well.
Cool. So, you know, that equity thing comes up again. This last statement in the report here is to do with our KBUs, our kāhui beneficial units. So this is our stake in TToTW, and we've got a 14.3% stake in TToTW. I did go out to the vice chair and chair to find out to see whether they had a published value for the kāhui beneficial units, because it's something you'd think that they have to work out at their end of the financial year. Unfortunately, the only one that's been published is on day one, when we got $100 million, and that was it. So, you know, our value there was 1/7 of 100 million. But you know, Petty has taken on board that they will discuss that at the TToTW level, so that they can give that what the value of the KBU is out to all of us kāhui, so that when we produce our reports, we can actually put a value to that instead of saying we just own so many units in TToTW.
Just through the chair, can I probably sort of add to that explanation?
Sure.
Yeah. And the reason why it's difficult to actually put a day-by-day value on that is because going through the commercial board, there are all the investments associated with that, and so your investment yield is sort of going up and down on a day-by-day basis. That said, and what I've taken on is that we'll go back to the commercial board to see if we can get quarterly reports that give us an indication as to how that's trending or moving, given the types of asset investment portfolio that's running underneath them.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you, that'd be great.
Just looking at that allocation of shares, there's a question in my mind that each kāhui has a registration a registration on each kāhui. Now, from my understanding, Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua has one of the largest registrations of the 7 kāhui. I think it's quite generous of TToTW to, when they look at equity on registrations, that we are not being given that equity in registrations.
Proportionally.
It's equity really on 7 kāhui. But our equity in registrations, our Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua is much larger than some of the other kāhui. So we have more people in Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua than some of the other kāhui have out in the field. I think we need to, look, I'm not saying we need a bigger share, or am I? But never mind, I like everybody in this room to remember that. To remember that we are being quite generous in allowing all the other kāhui who haven't got the numbers to have the same amount as us. So I just wanted to bring that up as a point, Madam Chair. And Bob, yeah, I felt that we've discussed this before. With Heather and I have discussed this right back when that we had the most registrations of all the kāhui in our kāhui, but everybody's saying, oh well, we deserve an equal share. Why should 100 people have the same amount as 500 people? So yeah, but keep that in mind, because I think this may come up in future discussion.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, Uncle. We'll take it up with our TToTW.
We'll take it up with our TToTW rep.
Too much, Uncle.
So that was the end of the financial statements there. Were there any questions
Next question, Bob, is someone taking a minute on this?
Yep, now I'm secretary.
Our beautiful secretary is. She heard your point. Kia ora.
I'll move the report, Bob.
Thank you, Liz. Get a second. That's when it goes. Yes, Tina.
You can just, can you clarify that you are a registered entity? That's correct, just a comment down the back there that you weren't a registered entity.
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
Just set up as a trust.
We're just still currently a trust.
But that's your entity.
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
yeah, but not-
sorry,
not
we are,
like a-
yes, we are a
we're a
registered
trust.
trust.
A registered trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no structure yet.
No.
But you still have registered.
That's still coming in our hui.
You're not a charitable trust, you're not.
But you're a trust.
But they're a trust.
Yeah, so as such, so the only, as I'm aware, you can register charitable trusts, but there's no register for trusts. Well, I did some research onto it. So that's just sitting out there. I mean, we went to the IRD with that and they accepted us on that basis.
I suppose there's a confusion between registered and what's your entity, legal entity.
Yes.
You know, your legal entity is a trust. And maybe that's where the confusion is coming with, are you registered like with charities?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, as it stands, we have, yeah, we've just put ourselves there as a trust, defined ourselves to IRD, because I couldn't find anything that, you know.
So you're registered under the Trustees Act 1956,
Okay.
which is in the notes. Note 1
Right,
of your
okay.
notes.
Okay, so we are.
Yes, we are. We're a trust. It's
That's good to know.
Okay.
It's confusing. To do with trust, it is confusing as to where you are from an entity perspective.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just to, through the chair, and to sort of shift off the trust confusion discussion, I just want to come back to the point and that Cousin Rita made earlier on in terms of questioning the benefits that, you know, or the income or the interest that we're receiving. And this is another point about, I think, the burden or the privilege that sits upon you three as trustees. And it comes back to this question of using the bank or going into investments. You know, at the moment you're just going to get 2%, if that, in terms of your term deposit approach using the banks with your money. So it raises the question, and this is for you as the trustees, around whether or not you take all or some or none of the next distribution. Because if you were to leave it in TToTW, then under the SIPO and the letter of expectation, then the commercial board is being pushed hard to return 5.8%. So there's a question about whether you leave it there or whether you take part of it, but this is subject to your activities and your work
Inside
plan
our work plan.
as you unfold them. So it's just a point to make.
Can't lie. Acknowledge your point. Okay, so the following resolution is proposed that Te Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua Trust Annual Report 2019 and the consolidated financial statements for the period. Hey, I'm carrying ending 30 June 2019 be adopted. Can we show our hands, please? Yeah, so we already had it. We had Heteri and Liz. These two just jumped in again. Equipment Auditor.
So just speaking to I spoke earlier to the auditor side, so I did, we did go out and get some.
Are they the accountants for Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua?
So that one is the accountant and the auditor can't be the same party.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, there's a separation of duties there. So we only had two parties that we could go out to once we decided on Tarrant Cotter So that was BDO and Coates Associates. Both of them are based up in Gisborne. Based on my discussions with them and with the fees that the estimated fees that they were giving me, we made a decision to go with Coates Associates for next year to do our audit, and the resolution's up for adoption.
Yep.
So any second for
Can
that?
anyone second? Richard. Raise hands. Raise your hands, whānau. This is the move Coates.
To appointment of
Appointment of
Coates
Coates
Associates.
Associations. Tō mana. Haere tonu. Trustees, remuneration. Let me get my breath out first before we go into the kāhui. Well, we can go after who's next. We'll get you after this one.
Okay, whenever. In terms of, is there discussion open for this?
The remuneration, aye.
Yeah. Yeah, no, in looking at what the trustees got last year was nothing.
Actually, I've got the wrong deck up here. Sorry, I've got an old deck up because that's not the right resolution.
Yeah. So, you were never approved for any remuneration
That's correct.
in the 12 months that was gone.
That's correct.
So, and it suggests in here 72,000, which for me is a little on the high side. But at the same time, if that's for the 2 years, that's what I'm looking at. I mean, this is the initial, and it doesn't have to be the same next year. But for the 2 years, our trustees have been put in place, and up to now have received nothing. Well, on the books is nothing. That 72,000 should be recommended or even approved because of those 2 years. I mean, we're all just settling in, and our trustees have settled in and pretty much for love. And look what we're producing now. So I do think it's it's fair at 72,000 for that. But remembering that at the same time that if that's going to be a chunk out of the annual drop from TToTW, I would be not so generous. But given that they've served up to now for nothing, and then this year, yeah. So for me, I'd like to say yes. I'd like to TToTW, but I think the discussion is not ended there. Once they've settled in, then we can get a proper remuneration. Because 72,000 represents something like 40% of the drop. Now, I feel that we fought all those years for the people, not just for 3 executives, because they've got to get staff yet. In the coming year, there's got to be some staff, and that's a consideration too for our trustees. But for this year, for that resolution up there, and that's only for that 1 year, I'd like to say that we go along with that. Not only, I think it's quite excessive. We're having the whole drop every year. It was going to be 72,000 just for 3 people each year. Not acceptable for me. But for these first 2 years while they're settling in,
Kia ora, ko. Yes.
Chair, can I suggest, because there'll be questions that come out that may well be covered in terms of you summarise the process you've gone through to derive these figures.
Kia ora.
Madam Chair, can you summarise the please of trustee remuneration?
Yep.
Before everyone else.
Can you look at what the establishment period is and what the settlement period is, please?
So when we went to, so firstly it was trying to seek we had to go seek some specialists in regards to bringing back a remuneration. We went to strategic pay as well as to IOD. They came back with a substantial amount of money or cost that we sort of didn't like. I think it was like 6K in regards to just doing a 10-day or service space. So we went to strategic pay, which was way less than that. They came back with, the best thing about them is that they asked for questionnaires about what we currently are doing and what we're moving forward. We're outside of that operational space of a governance and an operational space because we're formulating the space. So we do more and above what a governance space would sit. So what we did was all three of us sat down and sort of looked over what is currently what we're doing and where we're going forward and how does that going to reflect. What they came back with and their findings was because we're a non-profit, they went and did a research on all non-profit out there and what's the current rate, which is highlighted around why there's the first, the establishment, and then there's the second of the settlement. Hence the two different, because within the settlement we should be actually just doing governance. That's sort of what we're here for, is the governance space. So the establishment part was that we went to TToTW and looked at what IOD had done for them. And inside of their wording was around what they currently were doing in the establishment space, which is similar to what we're doing now, around setting up, and then where it works in towards their settling space, which they're still getting there. But we still need to define what a difference of that is. And so what she came back with, which is her name's Rachel, they came back with this space currently now, of what we have. See anything else?
Yeah, no, apart from those figures there are based on industry rates. That's what, the strategic pay go out and do. They compare what's being paid into the industry as opposed to the work that you've stated that you'll be doing. And they've come up with those numbers. We haven't come up with those numbers.
I'd like to talk with the suggestion that we don't go along with that. If you work it out, that's 36,000 for last year, 36,000 for this year.
So the actual two resolutions, well, I put the one up on there which was, we haven't updated the slide. The resolutions that want to be put are actually there. So what's happened is that we've prorated and we went for the middle of the recommended range. We prorated that fee for the 2018-19 year, which is 3 months. And then there's another resolution there for the full period, which is from 1st of July this year to 30th of June next year.
Can I also mention that in the bottom is the total governing pool. So that looks like collectively as one. Because we work seamlessly as one. If I'm not here, like Bob did when I was overseas, he became chair. So in essence, it reflects 3. Even though they don't, when they said to me, this doesn't reflect how we as Māori do our business, because we look after each other in the sense of it. So when this reflects, the chair may state here that it gets X amount more than 2 trustees, but when it sits here at this table, it's reflected as equal. So whatever the pool is going to be, it's a shared equal of what that looks like by 3. And that's a discussion that we want to go and set something in precedence here going forward. Because we collectively have we do each other's stuff and we work seamlessly well together. There's no such thing as who works more than the other because we all work equally. So I just want to add that here, even though it reflects differently on the page. And so it hasn't been sitting right with me because I don't look at it as that. I look at me as one of our trustees that work collectively together. But that industry couldn't reflect that, even how much I was trying to push.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That was the very question I was going to ask, and you've answered very clearly. Because we see you all working as a team with input, and so it just seems slightly unfair that because of what industry says, the chair had a different rate than us. And you've expressed that really clearly, so thank you for that. On top of that, the only suggestion I have is that it should be divided into an honorarium, so the payments are regular. Because we know you meet outside of meeting times and stuff, so it's really quite difficult to calculate how much work you put in personally as a group, and then the meetings you'll attend as a group. And so I'm on the board of Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua, and that was resolved this year with the new board members by just having a monthly honorarium to cover all the work that you do within that month. And it just makes it a lot easier for the accountants, for the board, for everything. So just a suggestion.
Right,
Thank you for explaining that.
knowledge of the system. Yes.
Are you saying when you talk about being equal, so where it says, for instance, the bottom table, where the chair gets 30, are you saying that instead of the chair getting 30, the difference between the 30 and the 12 is divided between the three of you?
That's correct.
So that you're all equal. Is that what you mean?
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So, yeah, what we've done is we're saying, well, we agree with your total for our board, but we don't agree with how you've broken up between chairman and trustees, and we think that that should be left up to us.
And that's right, and that's why that's reflected here. I wanted to tell you is that that's not how we move in the spaces that we work. Because it's yes.
Can I suggest that that's reflected in the notes as well? What we see just looking at this does not reflect what you just said.
True.
And you saved a whole lot of backs up.
I think yes. I think going forward was what we wanted straight through transparency around straight coming from strategic pay. So you see, this is what we're given. Going forward, though, this is pretty much a note that we'll probably stamp on a footnote around. This is how we move in the equality space.
Yeah. So if that's okay with you, we will on our next report put out how it will be distributed between our three trustees. Yeah.
So I presume you're getting 72,000 divided by 3?
Yes.
That's 24,000 per annum?
Yes.
And then, as Manu mentioned earlier, you know, we've got extra work to do in the start-up period. We see after next year those going down to fees for the settlement period.
Yes.
Which are about 2/3 of what our...
I don't know, tennis.
I presume the settlement period would be till the next election. I would see, personally, I would see that settlement period as the work you do up until the next election in the next couple of years.
So we vary in elections, 2020, in regards to the trustees' elections, we vary in regards to what that looks like. But I think for us, it's probably more so, if I can just say, is the workload will ensure where we go in regards to what the needs are at the time. And I think if we keep in our whānau a board of where we're going and we're keeping in track of our workload and what you see happening in the space of we no longer have to be a part of this because, like Uncle said, we've started to get someone on board who can start doing this type of role. And when it eases off to us being allowed to do governance. But I mean, whānau, this is going to reflect us working forward and you will see that. Because you'll be working along with us. And I mean, to the point that we come to 2020, then we will like, hey, you didn't cut it. Don't drop that, but you know, until then. Ka pai kas.
So try talk what you guys are saying. And also try talk what Ronnie's saying. But the thing is that what I'm thinking, after third distribution from TToTW, because TToTW is building the business, there might be another distribution for another 5 years. I'm just speculating. So how are we going to pay you guys? After that, that's the question to my head. Yeah. So if there's no distribution from TToTW for 5 years, which could be, they're still building the business, right? How are we going to pay you guys?
Well, we'd have to budget accordingly.
But I think...
Yeah, no, that's right. There is no guarantee of income of distribution beyond year 3.
Yes.
Probably just to sort of give a bit more sort of clarification to that. So for the first 3 years, and next year will be the third distribution of the same amount. Subsequent years is based on investment return across a 60-40 split. And so what we receive from TToTW in the future, from 2022 onwards, is subject to the investment yield.
So that could
Yes.
be.
So, yeah, if TToTW isn't yielding anything, then I think, we've got bigger problems personally, all of us, because something's changing.
Just something to think about, eh?
Yeah, no, you're quite true.
You're quite true. I wasn't. Yes.
So I'll just give you a scenario. Just say next year's distribution to us, we keep it in TToTW. When TToTW makes money, for our next distribution, would we get more if we kept our money in? Anyone answer that?
Yeah, so you would hold a greater amount of KBUs inside TToTW, and then that's reflected in what the distribution will be.
Yeah.
And just to add on to that, thank you, Peter, that's brilliant. The 60-40 split, 60 to kāhui and 40 to TToTW.
Other way around.
Oh, no.
60 reinvestment and 40
40
distribution.
Yeah.
40 to distribution.
Yes.
From a kāhui perspective, I would wish it was that way. But it's 60% that's actually held back in with TToTW to cover all of its overheads. It's the 40% that is then looked at in terms of distribution.
So, in theory, we're going to get just over $1 million in the first 3 years. And then if, just say, our commercial arm just makes no money for 10 years, because that is a possibility. There is no more money coming into the 7 kāhui. So, one of financial planning for the future is we need to have that incorporated into the initial 3 drops that we're getting. We need to think forward that we may not get any more money for the next 10 years.
Maybe we should think about putting a model together with our own, and starting our own investments.
Yeah.
Yep.
That sort of thing.
And I think too.
So we have got our oncoming
So moving.
income.
I think too, Kaz, I think moving forward, there's no reason why we can't look at what an asset space looks like for us. In that discussion, there may not be where they might want to see us and what we're doing, but at the current time, this is what we're doing. This is what we've put on the table. But we've always looked about the future of what this may look like. We've got a 5-year strategic plan, but we always think past that because it's our mokos of tomorrow.
So, Madam Chair, we should be thinking worst case scenario. If we do not get a distribution after our final one next year, we should be thinking ahead. But in the worst case scenario, that we get nothing from TToTW.
Kia ora.
And you have been
There's always a tool that can be used at an emergency meeting. It can be called.
Yes.
And we'll run our figures over the numbers again. So I don't think it's completely out of sight that our trustees, if they're acting responsibly, if the pool is getting a little bit short, well then tell us.
Yeah.
And call an emergency meeting. Tell us. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think this is where that biennial, when are we having our hatu? Is it or try? Monthly.
Goodbye.
We're not, just at AGMs.
We're still at AGM.
So it's just at AGMs, we're not going to have any...
No, not at all, not at all. As I said earlier, we will be working alongside you. So to do that, we still need to come back and see what that reflects to look like in our working space. So that's definitely a part of our working plan. Our strategic plan doesn't have working motions without our whānau. So we will be having many of these hui's going forward. We just don't know how many at the moment.
So just through the chair, so I can sort of bring us back to the resolution that's on the page. And I'm just picking up Uncle Blighty's kōrero there where he was in favour of the 72, but in fact the resolution adds up to 90. Nor at this point has it been moved or seconded, allowing us to be able to discuss and make any amendments to it at this point in time. So I just want to bring us back to that to sort of say that the resolution currently sitting here, despite it not being moved or seconded, is 90,000 and not 72,000.
From my understanding, there's two resolutions. One is for the year up to 30 June 2019, for the first few months that the trust was established, and then the second motion is for this current financial year.
That's correct. That's correct.
So, but Pierre's right when you add them up.
Yes, they do add up to 90, but I think we still do need to have them in two motions, because one is addressing what we should have done at our AGM, first AGM, and the other one is what we are doing at this AGM.
So can I speak for the first motion?
Yes.
You need to put the motion to?
We'll put it, get a second.
Can I get a second on the motion, please?
So I'll move it.
Richard?
That's for the first motion, that's the $72,000 for the...
No, the
The first
motion
motion is the prorated trustee remuneration pool of 18,000,
Which one is we talking about?
2018 to
Oh,
2019.
sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one.
Sorry, my mistake. I confused you, but there's two parts to one motion.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, prorated trustee remuneration pool of 18,000. So I'd just like to move that and
Can I have a seconder, please?
Yeah.
notwithstanding the fact that, we've had all this discussion about what things going forward, I know this is for the period it's been, but you've done a tremendous amount of work for us. And stand in support of that motion on that basis. Going forward, I think that on the positive side, we've got another $300,000 worth of income coming in. We've still got to make a decision whether we take that or not. I'd suggest we take it. And also going forward, you've got the opportunity to have a think about what the remuneration might be for the year out from this current financial year.
Yes.
Because it's going to be contingent on whether we have faith in the investment side of the commercial arm of TToTW. And they are under an obligation to deliver 5.8% as a return on the total pool, which is a significant amount of money. And then even the split, if you start working out the maths around that, it's quite significant. And we should be looking at an investment strategy going forward.
Yes.
Kāhui?
Kāhui.
So I'm in question.
So through Madam Chair, just what Richard is saying, should we be changing this recommendation to suit that now? Or?
No.
There's two resolutions.
The first one.
It's the first one.
18.
Yes.
Moving 18.
But like you said, looking forward, should we be thinking about that?
Forward is from
I'll get this one, deal with this one first.
Motion and then we'll go.
So, that the prorated trustee remuneration pool of 18,000 for the 20 to 2019 income year be approved. So it was moved by Richard, second by Corinne. Can I have a raise of hands for that resolution? Kia ora. We're on the second resolution, the trustee remuneration pool of 72,000 for the 2019-2020 income year be can we be moved? Can I have a move it?
Yes.
Nigel.
No discussion.
I'll second it.
Bill. And then we'll discuss it. We've gone into two. Now, those are two separate resolutions that are put under the remuneration space here. One was for the year 2018 to 19, the week that's currently having. This one now, the second remuneration one is from 2019 to 2020. Kāhui? So Nigel's moved. Can we have a seconder for that one so we can go on to discuss? Bill. Okay.
So,
discussion.
Sorry, I kind of lumped one with the other, but just in supporting the motion, I think that's a challenge on you three as trustees to give us and have feedback from us about what we might be doing in this current financial year to both justify the investment and also to take a look to see the way forward, both in terms of our income from that 300,000 that's coming in, the anticipated income of another 300,000 in 12 months' time, but also about what we can do from an investment point of view. And I guess as a report, TToTW might have some indication of what their commercial arm is doing and what that income generation is, to see whether it's running track on that 5.8. So that would be good feedback for us as well.
Yes.
And in the meantime, if you are contemplating taking somebody on, then this is the year to start thinking about that and coming back to us, because that person could be the key to fundraising, money raising, generating business, doing all that sort of stuff. Because I think we should be thinking about that as well.
Yes.
Cool.
Kia ora. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So in the resolution that the trustee remuneration pool of 72,000 for the 2019 and 2020 income year be approved. Can you please show of hands? Kia ora.
Well done, Madam Chair, you can breathe. So based on what we've just discussed around 5.8 return on investment, so I've just worked it out that if our commercial arm is meeting its directive, then the first year we would hope, as a kāhui, we would hope that as our 7th year we should get an extra $331,000 to start off. If it all works to plan. No pressure.
No, I like that one. Nice, thank you for that.
So, just through the chair and just in Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua, that in about sort of 10 minutes, Nigel has been able to do a calculation that our board has spent weeks trying to sort out. So to maintain 352,333 each consecutive year requires a 6.4% cash yield return. So, but you're pretty close. That's
compounding interest.
And saying that, Cuz, can we invite you up to the table to give your kōrero?
I can give it really quickly. And I'll just do a bit of a check, because this will determine how long I need to speak for. Who has made it in the forum, in the audience we have here, to at least one of our roadshow TToTW in the first 3 weekends of November? Oh, easier. Who didn't get to the... Oh, really?
But online counts? I was there online all the time.
And on the counts.
So the TToTW representative report back is that if you didn't, then you need to go online and you need to view it. Because a key part of that roadshow was around our strategic plan other than just progressive updates. And you have until the 30th of this month, which is only a week away, to be able to provide feedback on that. And can I encourage us as Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua, please give your feedback back on the strategic plan, the strategic PO, and also the program of activity through to 30 June next year. Really need your feedback back on that. And that's the only pānui I need to give, otherwise I'll just be saying what you're going to see on live stream and on site. Right?
Give us a rundown.
Just a question there, too, in terms of, we've had a discussion about, I put the period that the TToTW in its duty, not that it has to, but it has a duty to go in and get the weight off. Not just to Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua, not just to Rauhina Marae, not just to one or two kāhui. The TToTW was put together to act responsibly and as a duty to us, the claimants, whoever we are, male or throughout Wairua. Now, I put it to Perry last night that some of our kāhui are struggling. They're battling to put together their hierarchy like we have. I myself, I think that TToTW's duty is to pick those people up. Our people. Go in to get away with it. And help them to set their trust and their administration and everything else that goes with it. I don't know, I'm only putting to Piri, so I don't know what the other 6 members think about this idea, because, you know, and they should pay for it. and rightfully so, they should pay for it in terms of, I think all of you understand that if a school, falls over, the government puts a commission in there, a commissioner, with all the resources available to pick that school up and get it going again. We've all seen that. So that's the example that I'm trying to say that TWNART needs to adopt in their next meeting. Maybe I should come to a roadshow. They need to adopt that attitude that they need to help all our people, not just us. Okay, we seem to be the front runners, I'm not saying we are, but we seem to be the front runners in terms of the kāhui.
And population.
Well, yeah. and I think that, yeah, it's just an idea. I just thought that they have a responsibility.
Through the chair, kia ora, Walter, but remember, those kāhui chose to go that way, to have their own mana motuhake. We didn't, and another kāhui.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
hard. Now you're talking about helping others.
So,
they chose this.
So I'll just jump in at this point. Because in hearing, I said to Uncle Bridie last night, in hearing this, I says, TToTW is starting to realise what it should be doing on behalf of all under the banner of TToTW or Te Wairua. And it would be a terrible reflection on us if one of our 7 actually fell by the wayside and all we did was watch.
Aye.
In terms of TToTW or Te Wairua. So whilst there is mana motuhake, I think the only thing for me, and I doubt that this will ever happen for Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua, the only point for me is in mana motuhake and in the mana of each particular kāhui is whether or not they would put their hand out and say, we need help.
They don't want help.
But that said, my view from TToTW is that there is capacity for TToTW to be looking at this. And I think that's one of my roles here, whether it's in kāhui or whether you just want to come to me on the phone or on an email, that's part of my role.
Just as long as you don't go out of your way and forget about us.
No way. Kia ora, Liz. We'll make sure he doesn't forget about us.
Can I just add to that? Because there being our TToTW rep, we ask a lot of them. We see things that we're doing, and we're saying, other kāhui are going to be doing this, and then it turns around to Piri. Piri, what are TToTW going to do about this thing that all of us kāhui have to do? And so I have to go back and talk about it. We want to do something. So there is definitely that kāhui are doing so much of the same work that, there's economies of scale within that. Having said that, the kāhui did have an attempt earlier this year to come together as a collective. And we had 3 or 4 meetings on that. So, we haven't met again since. So there was a lot of kōrero at the start around, what are the things that we could be doing together, collectively, because we all have to do them. But we actually never got to the stage of, actions going out there for different kāhui to be doing different things. So it's a challenge from trying to do it from a collective perspective. I know, Roy, you were there, Tina. It's a challenge whether we can, get some more engagement on that next year. I just see it as an opportunity that we're all doing the same thing. If some of us got together, it makes things a lot easier. But it's something that we have to work with.
So there's certainly opportunity for TToTW to contribute. One of the things that they've already invested in, you might say, is about helping to build capability. particularly around governance, around trustee training. So I think they're pouring in just about 125,000, I think, in terms of helping the kāhui in that area.
Just a bit of a kōrero about that. We're breaking new ground with what we're doing, and nobody really knows in a solid way where we're going to go. And I do support the idea of there being tātou looking at the different kāhui and uplifting them. I don't subscribe to the ha, you failed. I don't subscribe to that. So I wonder if we could put a resolution to be sent to tātou that they consider, not a commissioner, but that's the best word I can come up with, or a package or a deal where kāhui can reach to and say we do need help. I mean, it doesn't have to be, everyone has to know about whānau and all that, and it has to be between the kāhui and tātou. So there's that awhi there. We talk about it, and we kōrero about it, but let's take care of each other, because it says tātou or te wairoa. And so I wonder if someone would consider a resolution that we can send to TToTW as a message from our kāhui that we care about the other 6 tentacles. Just a suggestion.
Kia ora, Corinne, we will definitely acknowledge your suggestion. I know we have been working collectively as a kāhui, because before there was kāhui, there's whakapapa. Hey, whakapapa tentacles are so tight in Te Wairoa that I sit over here, but my arms and legs and feet sit somewhere else. So individually, we reach out, but in regards to supporting TToTW is around communicating with our whānau that are out in the other tentacles of collective. We are, and we have. I think just saying, you know, with Kazi Phil and as well with 2 trustees from Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua Trust, we have a good relationship as in based off a collective from Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua's vision before. So we are carrying on with that kind of space as we're going now. And I think really it is a discussion at the table where both our trustees are sitting in this room today, in regards to what that looks like. And the fact that you have acknowledged that, Kaz, is huge. Because it is, we see that on the cold face around where our other whānau that are sitting in different areas, and we do reach out. We reach out in ways of, do you need some of this, do you need some of that? And that's the way that we're doing it off the table. Do you need some policies and procedures? Kāhui, we've got some, here you go.
Madam Chair, you have enough work to do.
I know that. I know we do, but in order to keep us as who we are as TToTW, it's still to be able to just have that arm outreach. We don't have to do their mahi. We're just here to support it. Yeah.
Perhaps just to go through the chair and to close off this part of it. I'm not I'm not sure that it requires a resolution because I happen to think that this is TToTW's business anyway. And so the whakaaro that had been given to me from Uncle Blighty and from the discussion here and well, Cousin Phil down there, I think we'll carry this as being a natural part of what our role in our business is at TToTW.
Yes.
So, kia ora, papa.
Kia ora. Is that your report back?
That's it.
Kāhui.
You got well there, Madam Chair. You got well there, Madam Chair.
So we've got a proposed AGM date for next year, for Sunday 22nd of November. Can I have a move and a second of
I'd like to move that the AGM date be set for next Sunday, 22nd of November 2020.
I'll second that in case I'm not here.
Chair, any discussions? Carl, can I have a raise of hands in regards to the resolution then? Kia ora. Our strategic plan.
Where will the AGM be?
To be confirmed, it's at one of our whare's.
Oh, sorry, no.
Whakakī.
I've yet to receive confirmation back on our booking.
Well, I just looked at it, it's in my diary, oh, sorry, that's a Whakakī diary. It is confirmed.
Oh, so yes, it'll be a Whakakī Marae.
Whakakī Marae.
Thank you, Kaz.
Kia ora. Kia ora, Kaz. Good having a book at Christmas.
Just to make some comment, Madam Chair. In the work program, are we starting to bury ourselves into bureaucracy and the bureaucratic processes that take place? We've already got rid of 90 grand in a remuneration program. And now we're looking at Ngamotu hake TToTW. And it seems as though that all the money that we fought so long and hard to get is now going to be distributed to different initiatives within our kāhui. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it. All I'm saying is maybe there's room for one initiative each year or two initiatives each year, rather than to carry out a whole program where it's going to take another $200,000 to finance. I think we all need to be a little bit careful in where we see where we're going. Because our bureaucracy and all of these initiatives can chew up the next year's allocation. And that wasn't the purpose of the claim. That wasn't the purpose why we went to fight the Crown for 20 years. We want to get it back down to the people. And not just this certain few that get employed to do this, employed to do that. All I'm saying is let's be careful on our work program. What we can afford and what we can't afford. You know, maybe you need to put some of the jobs off for next year and the following year. So in your program, I think maybe it would be prudent to allocate over the next 10 years. You know, you might do a bit of the tail, a bit of the Ngamotu hake, but over the next 10 years, as opposed to having a program set for the next 2 to 3 years. I mean, I trust you trustees to say, now hang on, we're going to fall short this year, so we need to push that out of it. You know, I think you're becoming like the government.
Kia ora.
I think like the Crown, it allocates certain expenses to each initiative each year. I don't know which of those is the first off the rank.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that maybe the trustees then need to say, well, this is what we say is going to be the first. Well, kāhui establishment is the first off the rank anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm happy to talk to that now, Uncle.
Yeah.
Sure.
So Bob's going to
So strategic plan, and just pick up on Uncle's comments around, well, you know, we don't want to get into too much bureaucracy or administration here, and he's quite correct. But the key thing to us is that you've actually got to have ideas and structure those ideas and then think about how you can move forward with ideas from a start. You know, you want things clear, because why we need to do this is because we have to explain to all of our members this is what we want to do, and this is the reasons for what we're doing. So that's the whole idea around us doing a lot of work on our strategic plan. We had a session in our September hui which went through in detail around the strategic plan. So the essence of today was to summarise it. It wasn't to go through all the detail again. That detail can be seen on a video that's available to all of our members on YouTube. You can go through and see everything that we talked about. But I just wanted to talk around today just to summarise what we had agreed upon from out of that hui and what we were looking at going forward. So, you know, these are our three main po that we see from feedback from our members in terms of where our focus as a kāhui should be. It's looking after our land and waterways under that paiao. It's looking after our people and advancing our people under the mana motuhaki thing. And it's also, sorry, this is looking after our people here under the tangata. So those are our three basic areas of focus that we're looking into. Within each of those, if you look at TAIO, so this is a summary of what we discussed. There's work that we want to do this year. So there's a look and see. We've got to find out, and there's quite a bit of information out there already, collect sources, but to create an overview of where we stand with our TAIO. That's about all that we're planning to do in the first year. We'll take that into the second year to look at what our opportunities are to develop within those areas. And then on the third year, we'll look at those land use options. So that's over a period of time. We can't do all of it in 1 year, but we've got to start from the start, which is just ascertaining what our current position is, what the current state is. So that's, in summary, what we're going to be doing within TAIO. Within mana motuhake, we're already doing this work in the kāhui establishment. Certainly, we want to, as much as possible, we want to be spending other people's money rather than our own. So, in terms of the work that we want to do in our tile space, in our tangata space, there's government funding available to support initiatives within that area. So we want to spend some focus on doing somebody in there who can do funding research to tell us about the opportunities that we can plug into to drive our plans forward. So growing our asset base, that's around the investment thing that we spoke into earlier. It hasn't been a focus, but it needs to be so that we can get better returns of what we have there. And the future-proofing stuff, this is talking around about how we pass over the legacy. So, we're all going to be keen here for the next few years. We've got to make sure that we're identifying the people who are just as keen and who'll be coming forward to take over us as we go through. So that's time we're going to spend in that area. On the tangata side, we're marae representatives, so we're looking to work with our marae to figure out how we can support them to improve their marae facilities. When it comes down to the people, it's pretty important that we put more effort into recording some of our history and whakapapa. The sooner we can start on that, the better with our Pākeke that we have with us today, then, better we'll all be. Papakāinga, that came through when the plans from our three communities that we should be looking into that area. So we're going to have to do some research into that. In terms of the whole water space, that wasn't something from out of our discussion at our last who we're going to be directly involved with. There are government agencies who are out there that are tasked with doing that. What we want to do is see what work we can do with TToTW, because it impacts all kāhui, to try and drive forward those government services back to our people. And then people potential again, well, this is this identification of who are the people that are going to stand up to take on the roles, take on the jobs that we're doing nowadays. So as I mentioned at the start, we're hoping to share with you a version of our work program, because we've been working through these things and figuring out, well, this needs a certain resource for a number of hours, blah, blah, blah. We haven't finished that, and we don't want to show you something that's half complete. But that's what we are working down. So that's important in terms of us working out what our budget is for the next year or two in terms of driving forward our strategic plan. And hopefully we can have a bit of a break up soon and get stuck into that planning back in the new year.
I just
I've got a question. I'm full of questions today.
I love it. No more.
In terms of papakāinga and maybe even Hauora,
yep.
there must be a part where TToTW plays in this. And Papakainga, see, this kaumātua housing is always on my mind.
Yeah.
And suddenly I've arrived there. When we first started this journey, I had no interest in kaumātua. But suddenly, by 25 years later, yeah, suddenly I am. So I think Papakainga should not be just seen as houses for the people. It should be seen that a component of it is kaumātua. And I do think that, I'm going back in history a bit, that in the 90s, the government took away the housing program for Maori. And they put that housing program into Housing Corporation of New Zealand. And I think the older ones here know that. But we've never got bugger all out of Housing Corporation for Māori specifically. We had to still go there and try and get our old lands and everything and put some package together for them to finance. It shouldn't be that. They should be leading the role in terms of Maori housing. And I think that that's a part also of TToTW's role, to go knocking on the door, well not knock on the door and to kick the bloody thing down, to get in there and tell them their obligation to Māori was given over in the 1990s. And they have not delivered for Māori. You know, it's starting to sound like a bloody politician. But I do believe that. I do believe that the TToTW's role is to do that knocking on the door.
Can I just say, Uncle, that if we look at the 3 po, we wanted to ascertain what's currently happening at each marae. So if we did like a research scope over the top, and then being able to collate this information for Piri to take back to the table at TToTW. So he's going with a clear vision, this is what we want. So if he takes that to the table, what all that looks like in the facets, that's what we want to head towards. So we need to do that within this year, we want to work. So, Cousin Richard, would you bring it up in regards to getting someone to do funding? Yes, we want to look at someone solely doing funding apps. So we don't need to be touching any of our income. We can start be utilising what currently is in state now. So this is definitely a bird's eye view, and it's definitely little bites. We're going over a 5-year plan, and we know we need to do this in little bits, because each marae has their own way of how they want it, and so we just bring it to the table.
Okay, but I'd encourage you for anyone who wasn't at our September hui, but wants to find out a bit more detail around what's in that strategic plan, to get onto YouTube and watch that the video that was taken that day. There's a lot of kōrero in there, a lot of good detail was discussed.
Yeah, I didn't see the strategic plan. But looking at this, there are a lot of government agencies that should be helping us.
Yep.
What he's saying is TToTW is not the 7 clusters, but TToTW take the 7 clusters and push it.
Before we can get that far, Papa, we need to know our own scope. So that information needs to be, and work needs to be done, so we can get that prepared for Piri to take to the next table. And then we can go from there, because our series will be hopefully up and running by then. You know. So kia ora. Yes.
As for the marae registration...
So this lovely beautiful lady over here. Over here. This lovely beautiful lady over here, her hand up.
Your daughter,
Your daughter.
Youngest. I don't want to hold things up, but for those who don't have YouTube, who prefer to see it in a written form, how do we approve this if we don't know what you've got planned? I know you wanted to, and I know it was in your plan, but for me that can mean a whole raft of things in detail of what you're actually going to do. How is it that you expect us to approve this when we haven't seen it? If we don't do YouTube or whatever it is, and YouTube is discussions, and it's really hard to distinguish what the actual appointed things are if they're not listed for those who didn't go, and for those who don't have access to that. And you're expecting us to adopt a structured work program when we can't see.
Yes, that's a fair call.
That's a fair call.
So I really don't want to hold
the strategic plan being at a higher level, which is in sort of would that be an acceptable
If you
resolution,
maybe
that
reworded
it's only the strategic plan?
Not the structured work program.
Not the
Yeah.
structure, well, it should, because the work plans, yeah.
Yeah, so your point is that we should be bringing back the structured work plan to our members for discussion.
Approve
before-
this,
Yeah, no, that's
but
right.
approve that as a separate thing. But if it could be made available to those who prefer a written format rather than a YouTube.
Yeah, well, it, yeah. Kāhui.
Madam Chair, is it possible to just get the strategic plan as a PDF?
Yeah, so that's what we're going to do.
We'll definitely email out, yes.
So we're just going to change our resolution
We're going to
here.
change our resolution to take out the structured work plan.
Yeah.
To the strategic plan be adopted.
Full stop.
Full stop. Right.
So that's the resolution on the table.
Oh, my. Should we just, yeah. So the following resolution is proposed that the strategic plan be adopted. To Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua strategic plan be adopted. Can I have a mover? And a seconder?
Yes.
Corinne. And our discussion.
So discussion, so through the chair, something that might be helpful in this is that you actually pitch it for a term. So just having strategic plan doesn't give sufficient definition for people to think about, as opposed to saying these are our high level objectives or goals between now and
Then.
yeah. And if you put a term around it, that keeps it at that high level, and then it's your incremental plans that work towards that. And going back to Uncle Blighty's point right at the start of the meeting there, was our ability to be able to change as the environment changes around us.
Thank you. Right?
Oh, just on
Hang on, Uncle.
the Ngamotu haki hau, just around the asset base, I think that would be good to add that you want to get the most income earning potential. You can grow your asset base, but is it going to make you money?
Yeah.
Because we just had a big discussion about
Oh yeah,
being-
too true.
about making money so that we can be our own. So I think that would be good to incorporate in there.
Yeah, I know that's in the details.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying it's a big part of what we can be going forward is that we need the money. We can have assets, but are they going to make us money?
Are they going to create money?
Yeah.
Kia ora, Ro. Kia ora, Uncle.
Did you get around to me? Yeah, I would just like to give notice of motion and a tentative thing in general business.
Okay.
I think we're still talking strategic plan. I just want to move a motion in general business.
Yep. Right, discussion. Discussion in general business.
Madam Chair, so in your, just on that last point, grow our asset base, would that be restated? Because it's an important point. It's generate more income or something that makes it more of an active income generation, more of that than the asset base. You can acquire properties and all that sort of stuff, but you may not actually increase your income.
So you think it's about more growing our revenue base?
Yeah, something like that. But I'm supportive of the overall notion that this is really an intention of ours looking forward to look at some specific areas which were covered off on the YouTube and all the discussions that you had. The YouTube thing is really just the discussions that you had.
Yes.
And so what you've done here is you've summarised that into 3 specific areas, which gives us an overview of our intention. Some things might pop up. And this is the great thing about strategic plans. I mean, you've got land use options year 3. If something pops up in the next year, then I'd like to think that we'd be dynamic enough to come back together and have a hui and then discuss those. And the same with economic development. There may be some things that pop up. So the strategic plan doesn't lock you in.
No.
It actually creates an opportunity for you to focus and then you can plan forward. So,
Yeah,
so intention.
Yeah, strategic plan is a very dynamic thing, it will change as the circumstances change.
Madam Chair, do you have a hard copy with the details of the strategic plan that we can have?
No. This is the coming back to that details contained in the activity plan, which is work that is still in progress for us. I think once we get that, complete that activity plan, then it will show you the detail that points back to this higher level, these higher level points here.
But when you say it'll show us, will you have a hard copy that you will send us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, this will be subject to a hui now.
Yeah.
So that when we complete our activity plan, we will be calling a hui so that we can
discuss it.
Yeah, it's quite
And get
critical
it
for
signed
us
off.
to see something.
What might be useful is that you split these two things apart.
Yeah.
Is that you have a strategic plan and you set that over a period of time, and it can be refined or amended over that period of time. And then underneath that, you have the activity plan or your annual work program that works you towards that. And if you treat them as two separate things, then we get the high level vision in terms of the broad direction and what's important for us in that. And then each subsequent year, we get to approve a work program that gives us the confidence of ultimately getting there.
Kia ora. Okay. Can I have the following resolution is proposed that the Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua Trust strategic plan be adopted. Can I have a show of hands, please? Kia ora. Yeah, breathe.
Oh, we have general business.
General business.
Yeah. I'm not going to go heavily into this, but I just wanted to, for the members who weren't at our last hui, just wanted to bring this up for discussion, is that over the next year and coming into our 2020 AGM, we'll be looking on amendments for consideration to the trustee. Now, we've got feedback since inception over what our voting process has and whether it should be, by hands or postal. We've got a couple of things out there that we've received feedback in around what's in our trustee that we want to talk to our members about. So that's just a note to say that we'll be doing that over the next year. We'll be contacting our members to try and get some definitely feedback, but also get some direction from our members in terms of what we should be doing with these.
In regards to voting, Bob,
Yeah.
I reckon it should be show of hands, so people come to the meetings.
Yeah. There's you're going to get thoughts from one end of the spectrum to the other on this one, cousin. And what we need to do as trustees is to make sure everybody has a voice. I guess at the end of the day, if everyone has had a voice, then we'll go with what the majority is, unless there's something. But I know this is there's people can be quite black and white around that. Person needs to be there. No, we need to give everybody opportunities, and therefore should be postal. So what we'll do is raise these things, and then we'll go out, speak to our members, ask for their feedback, and we'll go with what we think the flow is.
So if we go with postal, we'll have to get quotes too on all that costs.
Yes.
That's going to become a cost.
Yep. So that's presenting those information around those options back to you. That should be the information that's presented back. That doing postal voting has cost implications to it. This is what it's going to cost. So that's all I really was just a heads up really to say that that's a piece of work that's going to be done over the next year.
Yes.
So, where are we at with the appointment of validator and kaumātua? We're GP now,
Yep.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. The validators. Yes. We have got a validator for each marae. And until we are notified by TToTW, when that space is needed, but we have submitted it, which is Liz? Liz for Iwitia, William or Papa Bill for Te Rauhina, and Uncle and Uncle Walter for Whakakī. So they are our validators. At the moment, we haven't been able to give them any jobs because there hasn't come from TToTW.
All I can do is confirm that it's been received at TToTW.
Okay. I just want to add though, in your comment there, is that on the page of engagement, there is numbers that that we were able to draw, and inside of that is actually telling you what our current status is of our members. So under engagement.
So how do you propose you're going to do the bottom triangle on the right?
Bottom pane on the right. Continue to increase membership. Well, hopefully it's done through the marae, but also, we're heading towards something we want to launch today, so if that's up and running. And there's another platform that we wanted to go for Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua Trust, so we're going to launch that today, so that's exciting. But there are other avenues that we want to put out there for our whānau to register. So the more, I don't know how many or what the state is currently, we don't know what is currently sitting and waiting for it to be validated at TToTW. So we may have a lot of whānau that have already sent in stuff, but for now, this is the exact of what we have. I just want to put that out there twice in there, and I think it's great if that everyone's aware that these are. So you're also updated on how many people have been validated over the 18 and what their young ones looking like.
Do these unvalidated ones, or the validated ones under 18, do they belong to TToTW as a whole or just to Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua?
They would come under.
Yeah, so it's those numbers, whether they be validated or not, is everyone who's affiliated to Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua. So affiliated, before those, prior to the inception of the kāhui, etc., they would have been limited to those who had said they're primary members. This is their primary marae, this is their primary kāhui. Those numbers now are reflective of if you have an affiliation with Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua, then you'll be included, even though it's not your primary.
Kia ora.
With the registrations, given that those registrations come via TToTW, I would hope that they would be doing more of a push to gain membership. Because the membership is to TToTW and we're subsidiary to that.
Yes.
So I would think that they need to do more in their space and use TToTW's money to get us more members.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, we do what we can do at marae level and kāhui level, but it should be driven by them.
Yes,
the database is TToTW's database.
Yes.
So it should be their drive to build it.
Yeah. And certainly over the last year, we've given feedback to TToTW from Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua in terms of what improvements and what capabilities we'd be looking at in our registration process. So, any update on that, Kazi?
Put it back in your court. Kazi? It's okay.
I'll take it back. This is an ongoing issue. We're very much aware with it. There was a few things which had been a priority for TToTW over the last couple of years, but our members are the important bits, and we need to do a lot better within our capabilities around our register. Well, it's TToTW's register, and how we as kāhui use that register.
Kia ora, I need to speak on this because people have approached me about it and it's happened to myself. When I first filled out a form, my primary was Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua. But on that form I filled out my whakapapa, which would include my siblings and I to the other kāhuis. We've never been asked if we can be included in the other kāhui's membership beneficiary lists. Never been asked, and yet I am included in the other beneficiary lists for other kāhui. I'm wondering how that happened legally, and the reason why I just bring this up is because I've had people complain to me they're now in other kāhuis and they don't want to be. And I've had that said to me several different times. It's a pity Phil's not here because I mentioned it to him.
No, he's hiding, sitting down.
So that's become a bit of a mess for our people because I myself don't want to be in any other kāhui, but I now find myself in 5. I just want to be in Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua. And it's happened to a lot of people, and some of them are angry about it. They've been included in other kāhuis they don't want to be in, even though they filled out the form, and that was okay. I did too, but we never had the understanding that one day we could be slotted into other kāhuis or talking to other kāhuis without our permission.
Because of the time. Kia ora, Nigel.
Like you say, Nigel, there are a lot of issues with the database.
And the big one is, and I won't mention the kāhui specifically, but everyone will know once I say it, they took everybody. And it was quite surprising because I'm the chairman of TWNART. We have 4,200 registered current members, and this one kāhui had more members than the TWNART. How did that happen? And the person, he was very explicit about that. And it doesn't seem right. It does not seem right. Whakapapa is being manipulated to boost numbers, and I personally don't like that. I also think morally it's not right either. Got it.
I'd just like to point out that when we started this journey, Nigel, we were pretty much fragmented. And we tried in different instances along the journey to say we are Ngāti Kahungunu-Ki-Te-Wairua. That didn't go down. And now we're finding that people will say we want to be part of that kāhui, that kāhui, that kāhui, that kāhui. Ko tahitanga, is that just a word? Where will we be in another 10, 15 years' time, maybe 20? But then we only have tāna, because we all come from the same chipun. Is that tāna may look at it, the only way they can fix any fragmentation is to put it all together. Will we disagree at that? I mean, people want to be part of 6 kāhui. I'm fine, there's whakapapa there. But at the same time, I want a separation of this kāhui, a separation of that kāhui, and a separation of that kāhui. So maybe one day, I only thought, Nigel, that maybe in 10 to 15 years, oh, this is just a bloody waste of time, we should have gone straight to TWNART and had one kāhui, Kahungunu-Ki-Te-Wairua. It won't go down at the moment, because everybody wants their own identity. And that's fine. I mean, it's a journey we as Māori, we need to travel. And then when I'm long gone and dead and buried and you're the kaumātua, and then you say, look, we've had this discussion, and maybe it's time that we've started pulling together and having one kāhui. It's so we can't actually say what the future is going to be, but we can shape that future. Us here in this room, to stop the arguments about, oh, why can't I be on that kāhui, why can't I be on that kāhui? Then we say to tāna, hey, work out a strategic plan that maybe that coming together, all together, will be the future. How are we going to look at our more punatua who are living in the towns at the moment? They don't know who they are. And then when they come home, they say, well, you've got 7 kāhui, which one do I fit? But if one day they come home and they say, there's only one kāhui in Wairongo. So it's only thought, so today we have different feelings and whatnot, but I think in the future, that the future holds one kāhui. That's going into Tīmatanga.
What I can say then is that we've received emails from people who are registered with us who no longer want to be and have been asked to remove them from our database. So that we've done that, we've received that, and I think I think as an individual.
Sorry, we haven't removed them from the database,
but we
we've
moved
removed
them
them from any of our
Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua
correspondence.
correspondence. That's what I mean. Sorry, we can't remove the database. But I mean, if anything, personally, if you want to, it's probably the way that you have to. We can't do it.
Well, the way, thank you over what I absolutely agree. We've been at this a long time. The way it's operating now is good. If people want to register across multiple kāhui, they can, or people who register now. It's just so much there was a lack of, or there was no communication about how in the past 2 years, that all of a sudden we went from, well, we actually went from registering with tātou to TWNART, then we went to identifying primaries, and then all of a sudden the kāhuis were picking us up that were non-primaries. And now it's a situation where people who register now can actually register with the other kāhuis, which is capable. It's just that that was a bit messy in the middle here. And just to be aware so people are.
Kia ora.
Just Madam Chair, you actually need a good quality database. What you've got at the moment is a bespoke, a built one is crap. Really. Yes, I think that's an observation from a lot of people from outside, so it really needs to have a good quality database because all the issues that Nigel's picked up on, we got notice of what the voting and all of my Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua, well, we've never registered there, and so, you know, so there are things that are going to pump out in the night because you just have got no controls over the quality and the security of the system that you've currently got. So that's something that, and I know that Perry's taken on board and that it's TToTW will be picking up on, but well, it's garbage. And it really needs to be revamped. And so all of the variation that's required, so and you register once and you put in your preference and then that's locked in for all time and can't be corrupted by anyone. So that's basically what you need to do. And I know it's Perry. Just talking about the database, Perry, just, you know, you've got some plans afoot to look at that again, but that needs improvement.
Kia ora.
Yeah, I know the database and the proprietary software that sits with that has caused us some issues, like registering people with certain kāhui when they've never ever done that.
Yeah.
So there are some issues to deal with. It's high on the list for TToTW to sort out. The only thing we're grateful for is it seems, even in the state that it is, to have at least got us to this position here. But it needs to be looked at.
Okay, so it is general business, so we open up and...
Madam Chair?
Yes?
Going into this kāhui members, have you got a presentation that's you're going to show us about how you're going to get more members? Because like Peter to say, we have more on our Marae Facebook than we have in the kāhui.
No, we don't have a presentation. We haven't looked into the growth of the members because we didn't, as it was pointed out, TToTW should be encouraging. That's all the members. We got more than that. We got more than that.
How can we get those things on Facebook?
Ask them all if they're on
Every week, put a post on registration.
You're hard pressed to do anything at the moment in order to improve things with the current platform you have.
As that we have.
Sort it out.
Thank you for being honest.
Thank you.
There are different ways, you know, strategies, tactics that you can employ to increase numbers once we've got a better platform in place.
And our current, as we stated, our current database is...
Bear with us, whānau, bear with us.
Oh, kia ora, there you are. Kia ora.
Bear with us.
It's getting very difficult.
Open general business. Kia ora.
Just an item of general business.
Peter.
Well, you do.
In September, we talked about Marae distribution. Is there any progress on this?
I guess in terms of the work program that we're working on, that's a consideration into that. So the answer is no, we haven't, because from all the other activities that we want to set up for next year, we want to, you know, those costs need to be factored in as well. But it is something under consideration, is what I can say.
Yes, our people.
You're going to slap along and we've already spent 90 grand, why not spend another 150? Yes, Madam Chair, I wanted to discuss the point about marae distribution before bureaucracy chews up all the money. For me, we set out on a journey to get some consideration back to the people.
Yeah.
In this instance, at this point in time, the people reside on marae or are affiliated to marae, or their activities are on marae, which has put a lot of strain onto the maraes. There's only about 10 in Whakakī. I think there's 2 living here in Whakakī too, and they have to maintain this marae, those 2 people or their affiliates or their whānaus, and it's the same with Iwitea. And so it's getting harder and harder for those few that remain on our maraes to maintain the maraes and maintain the servicing of their maraes. So I'm of the opinion that we as TWNART, and as part of the claim and the claimant responsibility, is that some of that distribution needs to go to the marae. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, but today. And I know you're still going to work out how you're going to do it and what you're going to do and all the rest of it. And brought to our notice that my daughter down there was talking about the tax implication for Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua to make a distribution to a marae. Then that marae has a income tax responsibility.
Well, unless they're set up.
And then at the same time, that distribution to marae is from a trustee of the Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua to a trustee. The same trustee is going to receive it in the marae. I mean, the chairperson of our organisation now would be the recipient of the money. Is there self-interest in it? Or is there, I don't know, we say there isn't, but for tax purposes there could be. So our chairperson granting themselves a bit of money, she would be put in a position where she has to declare her interest, but she can't vacate, no way she's going to vacate our chair. So there are implications in this in inland revenue, but you know, they have a liaison service, a Maori liaison service that maybe needs to be utilised. But without, beating around the bush, I'd like to move a motion that $50,000 be distributed to each marae. That's key to Iwitea. That's only a proposal on the table. I'd like to say that motion. And hey, cut it up, cut it down, whatever you want to do. This is just a motion that I want to put on the table, and then I can finally say that we started this journey 25 years ago for the people. At the moment, a lot of bureaucracy is chewing up the money. They're chewing up a bit. All these organisations need to be financed. We didn't realise when we were making the claim that by the time it gets back to the people, it's filtered down to a dollar. So for me,
it's a good thing to discuss.
The basis of our existence is marae. And from my point of view, I'd like to think that $50,000 be my proposal to put on the table. And
So, Madam Chair, I'd like to second that. And I'd like to second it on the basis that, when we take this next lot of income, 350k, that boosts our coffers to about 700,000 thereabouts. You take 70,000 out for admin, for the governance fees. 150,000 brings us back down to about 480,000. It's still quite a lot of money. But what it does, so that's just on the financial side, but what it does, and I think that Whitey's point is that if we can start in some way contributing to the marae at that level, at $50,000 each, that gives the marae a focus around, and it kind of travels the information down through the marae. We haven't got everybody here from all of the 3 marae, so this gives a level of comfort, but also allows that communication. So kind of a real impact of the tātou process and through the kāhui. And I think that it allows also for the marae to start doing some thinking and creativity themselves. They might, and you know, everything costs same. So if you want to do some work on the marae, development planning, all that sort of stuff, we've had to run out at Whakakī, we had to run out to TPK to get some money to do that sort of thing. You'll have money of your own to start doing that, whatever the priorities that the marae set. But I think it's a real contribution and a real result after all the years. And I think, you know, I take the point that this is the impact, some of the first impacts of that. And this is it's a small amount, but it's really a starting point, I think, from actually building from the base up. So I can see the
Discussion, madam.
Discussion.
So as a trustee and the secretary of EWT Marae, who also facilitates the accounts, I'm really worried about tax implications because we're only a Marae reservation.
That's the same.
We don't pay taxes. And we have no other entity set up around us financially. So I can't agree to it not knowing the risks and the work involved for myself, first and foremost, and for the other 7 trustees. Good idea, don't get me wrong. It's just that it needs a lot more investigation to give the certainty that our marae requires around such a gift. If it was a tax-free gift, yes, sweet, cool. As a koha, but it can't be at the moment, as I understand.
No.
And that's the problem for us. And I can say that because I do the accounts with the accountant. I'm the secretary and I'm also trustee tomorrow. Also, in addition, what precedence does this set? Personally, it's a good precedent, but as a marae, thinking of our responsibility to the trust, is there an expectation this is going to go on annually? Again, crunching figures, if our commercial arm makes no money for the first 5 years, you take out this proposed distribution, you take out election costs and you take out trustees' fees, which we understand will start to drop as management comes into play. In the next 5 years, we're only left with 100k to play around with for the projects. One of the projects that I understand is the strategic planning and marae updates and rebuilds that Te Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua is looking at investing in personnel to assist the marae to do that stuff, because the people working at the marae are rather busy. And in that regard, I think that's a really good idea. Providing a resource such as that in order to pull funding to implement the building wishes and everything else of the marae. Gives someone in one of our whānau a job for a start. It takes the pressure off the marae committees to do the work. This person can facilitate external money, they facilitate all the plans around it, talk with the trustees in the marae and do all the contracting and all that kind of stuff. I was under the impression that's where this is going.
Yeah.
And it's all part of the consideration about do we actually pay out to the marae or do we support the marae in the aims and objectives that they want to physically get through within their own lives. Just part of the wider conversation. I'm not knocking it, these other things need to be considered. But first and foremost, it's the tax stuff. Really scary for us. But that's all part of the consideration. Kāhui, go forward, investigate and consider on that. Kia ora.
I might be able to answer the taxation thing. I did write to IRD and ask for a technical ruling. The reason I asked for a technical ruling is it binds the IRD. Even if what the technical ruling is illegal, let's say, case law states that they actually have to go by it. So I did get a technical ruling, and that's where Dad pointed out, and I hadn't picked it up, about how would IRD see somebody giving money to themselves as being a trustee on two things. And it is something that you do have to consider, and I take that up, but if it's just a straight donation and there's no strings attached, there's no tax liability for you whatsoever. And it's actually stated by this lady in there. The other thing that Dad's brought up is something that I haven't thought through. And I do think we need to look at it, and possibly that could be something that as a kāhui we ask IRD by bringing in the liaison officers, and don't be scared of auditors. I know, you just got scared. Auditors, what they do when they come in is they come in at the beginning and they give you advice, and it's free. And they're the guys that make the rules. You know, Tarranta Cotter, they don't make the rules. IRD does, and be scared of them, but also utilise those free services that they've got out here, and they are good, and I'll be there because I used to work there in head office, was where I finally you, and I wouldn't want any of our marae to fall down. And, you know, I just wouldn't want it. And that's why I got the technical ruling. Yeah.
Through the chair, Madam Chair, so the lady sitting next to you, Chloe, she's brought up years ago IRD come into town and they would talk. Perhaps that could be part of your dad's plan, is helping the other kāhui by bringing IRD into town for all the kāhui to talk to them about this distribution matter.
They have had someone come in at Orang Marae and give some advice, and that was the multi-liaison officer. But not all the marae were there. That's the only thing. And I suppose that maybe another talk on that.
Is going.
So the motion could be that subject to clarification around taxation implications. I mean, there's advice coming through TToTW, they've got expertise here, you've got the multi-liaison, there's, you know, there's a lot of advice. So implications for each of them. I know that Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua charitable trust, you've got charitable status, but some haven't. So it's really just looking at what those implications are so it doesn't complicate the marae if they agree to this.
Kia ora whānau. This conversation going from what we saw in the hui around the distribution, and also kizakas for the emails that I received on the sideline of this. It was a conversation around how can we, knowing, which highlighted by Nigel, be able to still move forward without actually, with some kind of money, making sure that tangata whenua were looked after. And we always sit here with three marae. I am the chair of Te Rauhina, and so Bob is the chair of Whakakī. We will make sure. And we're like, yeah, we're happy as, we'll take that. However, we know that we need to work through a plan. So one of the key things around a strategic plan is working on the high level stuff around taking a look at our marae and doing a bit of a what do we need. And inside of that, whatever the implication around a financial, maybe a distribution from here, we can subside a bit or share it with what's currently coming in from the government. But we need to have a look at that. So we need to actually be allowed to work forward in the next year to see what that looks like without actually agreeing to something that we may not see and it goes in the year. So I know that we are definitely taking it on as consideration. Very mindful of giving back to our people, our marae, to make sure that they're up and centre. But this kāhui is working on everything. Every holistic view of what our marae has to work with, we're here to support and take what that looks like. Nigel did bring up part of our workings. We're wanting to hire someone who can collectively look at doing fundraising or doing funding apps for the whole three marae. But we need to give them what does that look like on a snapshot. Because we all have marae renovations, we want some stuff happening going on in there. So we need to look at it and have a view of what's happening. We shared our aspirations. From each marae came with our aspirations. We shared it at the table. Now it's about sharing what does that look like on a financial and a working space. We haven't done that yet. And so when the distribution question came up at our hui, it wasn't a case of, yeah, we'll give the money now, because with my Te Rauhina portai on, that'd be great if we could get that money. But with my other portai on, what's the future going to look like if we can't continue to get that kind of support. It's about the ability that we can be to stand alongside our marae to make sure that the home fires are always burning. That they're not just going to spark now. So Uncle, tangata whenua has always been on our key mind. That's because our people are always wanting. And I am very mindful about Uncle saying, you know, what did I wait 25 years for? Giving me that money. I know, we're just saying, Uncle. Give us the time to consider what this may look like, take over all the implications, what will happen to the marae, and come back to something. Is that kāhui?
I do have one thing about any funding that comes from government requires a GST component. So even if you do funding from government, you will then burden Nigel and say that he has to register as a charity. If you take the donation point, which is why I looked at it, there is no tax implication when a donation comes from the kāhui. Now I specifically said to IID, they're a registered Māori authority, our kāhui, and I described to them how we work. And that's why I wanted to investigate the tax implications. And there isn't any if it's a koha. And the description of a koha is you have no strings attached. Now, but with the funding from government, it comes with a GST component, and what you could possibly get yourself into is loading up marae to have to register the GST, to have to register for income tax. And has that been looked at? Because that's actually what happens.
Yeah, just to add to what Namu said before, as a trust, you know, we do want to support marae in driving their plans forward. So there, you know, we are thinking that there's money available to give out to marae for that purpose, and that will come for us. In terms of getting the funding from government, then that's more along the lines to drive the actual work forward, like all the order, you know, what's available under Oranga Marae program, so that you know, TPK is putting in towards those costs for the actual work itself. But yeah, you know, we're open to. I guess what, you know, the thing, and we have had this debated in terms of whether we should be giving a koha just, you know, unconditional to the marae. That, you know, to me, giving that unconditional koha doesn't necessarily mean that anything is going to be improved at the marae. So I think what we're wanting to be in a position of is working with marae, working with to see what they want to do, and then when it comes down to what those costs are, what they need to inject, then we can, you know, have that discussion with them. But you know, as a trustee, my personal view is handing out a koha to a marae doesn't guarantee that anything will be improved by doing that.
I don't think that's your call, actually. I think it's up to the marae.
Well, it's, you know,
who applies for the money. It's up to them how they use it. I don't think it's up to our kāhui, the trustees, to judge whether it's going to be used usefully. You know,
no, the only point I was making is that if you give somebody some money unconditionally, there's no guarantee that it's going to go towards what their objectives may be.
Can I just say that?
That's their business.
Yeah. Can I just say here though, it's not about if or when, it's about how do we make this happen, and what does that look like, the potential of it. Because the reality is, for me, it may not be 50k, Uncle, it may be something. But please allow us to go back and work that out what that looks like. But there is a strategic plan that highlights key workings that we're wanting to work towards. And then we also, but there isn't anything about dictating the stuff or where it goes, because that's at the end of the day, that was set there in Uncle's space. We have discussed it, we have our own personal views, we have collectively discussed it as well. We knew this was coming to our table. We just knew it because Karen had put it in our place, but more so the fact around, Uncle Blighty had highlighted this years ago around a direct distribution back. to the marae. And that was a discussion in regards to insurance, because each marae's insurance highly costs. You know, so there are other ways that this could look at it, but in order to do that, we need to look at the state of what our marae looks like as an individual and then come collectively. Hence why our working plan and our strategic plan going forward would reflect, and then it would start pulling out what we need to look at. These discussions are not going to end here, whānau. And that's the key part. We're not going anywhere unless you kick us out. But we're not going anywhere. We're here and we've committed time to look this out. And we're only going by what we have at the moment. But thank you very much, Uncle and Corinne, for bringing that to the table here. And it was, when it was raised back in the meeting, because it's been discussed for many, many, many years.
I move the motion be put.
Madam Chair.
What's your motion? Second.
Could you read the motion?
What's the motion on?
Motion with the 50,000 distribution.
Yeah. Madam Chair, can you confirm that Te Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua is a Māori authority, please?
It's not yet.
No.
Yes, we've had confirmation back from IRD. We've got the
So you are
confirmation
now?
Yeah.
Just not at this time, because this is still a trust tax rate in these accounts. It's at 33% in these accounts, which is a trust tax rate. It's not a Māori authority rate. So that's...
You said at the last meeting that IRD had
I do have that.
said that our kāhui is Māori authority for taxation purposes only.
Yeah, no, I have the letter.
Yeah, you actually said
So
that.
you had applied for it?
Hey?
So you had applied
Yeah.
for Māori authority status?
Yeah, and they sent back a confirmation letter on the basis that we're a unit trust of TToTW.
But Tato's lawyers have come back and said that you can't on that basis.
Well, so that's what we put in the application. It was IRD who took it on that basis. We didn't tell any lies, we just put down, you know, the reason why. It wasn't up to us as in terms of approving it or not.
Yeah, but the accounts are at a trustee.
Yes, I saw.
So
That
it's
connects
sort
up
of in
now.
contradiction to the...
Yeah.
Did the Māori authority's status come after June 30th?
They want to come after?
Did it come after June 30th? The Māori authority status?
No, I'm pretty sure that was sorted out by then. Sorry.
I'm just not clear now. So are we, has it got Māori status, taxation status? That's 75%.
Yes, so in terms of registering us as some type of entity, yes, I put through the registration as being a Māori authority, and that's been duly accepted by the
70.5%.
IRD. They've sent back a letter saying that yes, you are a Māori authority. So it is 17.5%. That $30 we paid in interest, we paid income tax, we paid too much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just second. What I'm hearing is that we're hearing distribution. I'm for distribution. And I'm also tautoko what Nigel says about the tax. Maybe before our next hui, the committee could look into that tax part and get back to us by the next hui. And then we'll move the motion, well, make a resolution there.
We can either win or lose.
Yeah. The thing is that Te Rauhina don't want to be left with tax bill either. At the end of the day. So maybe you can get some information for the next week, or even get someone here from Inland Revenue to talk to us. I'm not happy to go about it.
And just to support what I'm just saying, what I would also like an opportunity to decline. I know it's rude to decline one, but it's this special circumstances, and it's against TToTW to decline a koha, but in this instance, until everything's clarified, and you've all given your promise that you're going to sort this out, until we have all the information, that makes it an option for us.
we'd like to do.
Well, reading is taken to
Just defer
front
it
feet
until
out
we
over
have
it.
after our
Yeah.
From my point of view, the motion can be won or be lost. It's not to say that it's being thrown away forever. It's just at its point in time that motion doesn't fit. Kia ora. All I'm saying is put the motion, Madam Chair. Yea or nay?
And it was seconded.
In favour of the distribution or not?
Yeah.
So the motion was put and then it was seconded. And rather than just lose it on the basis of a vote, I wanted to sort of suggest perhaps an amendment based on the discussions that we've had. And the amendment to the motion, because from over here you're talking about sort of cutting your cloth to suit your purse sort of style in terms of the program work ahead. So there's that part which is a consideration in this. Down here we're talking about what the tax implications might be that need to be sort of
That
looked
needs to
at.
be considered in this deal.
Yeah, so I guess for me it's whether or not Uncle would accept an amendment to his motion that takes into account those points for you to come back to us rather than lose the motion altogether at this point.
I support that as the seconder, I support that, but it's up to...
That's up to Uncle. It's your motion, Uncle.
Have an amendment to the motion.
You want to amend your motion, Uncle?
I had no problem, but I want to hear what the amendment is.
Yeah, say it again.
On the hoof.
I'm not
wanna
going to
hear
an
that.
amendment that hasn't been spoken, Madam Chair.
There, Akiri, what's the amendment?
That it be held in abeyance until investigations are completed. So if that's the amendment, kia ora. But if there's no amendment, well, there's no amendment.
Hang on.
So the amendment might be that the trust approves in principle a direct distribution to each of the three marae, subject to the strategic planning implications and the tax efficiencies in that consideration.
Kapai? Thank you. Here's just the meeting then. There's a meeting yours, Uncle, and Richard seconds for amendment. Richard second that.
Yeah, we're still recording, we're still writing down the motion, Uncle.
We're just going to keep going.
It's a long way.
Amendment to Uncle's motion that the trust approves, in principle, a direct distribution to each marae, subject to the proposed 2020 strategic plan and work program and tax implications to the marae. Is that kapai?
Yes.
I know he spoke too fast for my secretary. I wanted him to slow down, but he didn't.
I got it.
But you got it, eh? You got it?
We know what you mean.
Yes.
You agree with what's been recorded?
Yeah, well, as long as Uncle agrees with
Uncle
my
agrees?
Amended motion.
So it's there, we just haven't we haven't got a figure in mind, but it's a figure subject to that, it's agreed in principle.
It's agreed in principle, yes.
Well, from what I can understand is that the original motion was the distribution of $50,000. That was the original motion.
We
And
amended
now
it
the
as
amendment suggests otherwise, that consideration be given to tax implications and the trust program. Well, yeah, I say let's put the motion, and if the motion is defeated, well, then the amendment becomes the motion.
No, because if we put the original motion forward and it's lost, that's the end of it.
That's the end of it.
But if we accept an amendment to the motion,
The amendment.
it'll run.
No, I'll put the amendment.
All in favour of the amended motion, please show of hands.
The amendment.
Still amendment. Any against? Ka pai.
Well, I moved the motion, so I've got to be against. It would have never been discussed, it hasn't been brought up.
Yes, no, it's too true. Oh, it was being discussed, but it's great for all the members.
Did he finish now?
Just one last matter of business. Leon Symes, the chair of TWNART, I think it was 3 weeks ago, implored the kāhui to reinstate the kaumātua council. He implored publicly in the newspaper. So we need to appoint our one rep to the kaumātua council. Thank you.
Was it in the main?
It was after the first roadshow. He was quoted in the paper as saying that it was a roadshow.
He did say that.
If Leon said it, it must be. So are we suggesting nominations from the floor?
Yes. Kaumātua. For the Kaumātua Council.
I'd like to nominate one.
Seconded.
Walter Wilson.
Walter Wilson?
Ms.
Walter Wilson, do you accept the nomination to be our...
That's a yes.
Excuse me, Uncle. I'm asking you to do hear the vote like I amended. Kia ora, kia ora,
Is there
Uncle.
some other nominations, please?
No.
So one nomination has been accepted by Uncle Walter. Any more on the floor?
I move that nomination closed.
No way! Show of hands for our
Madam Chair,
other.
I think this is all bloody jacker.
I wanted to fucking
Yeah, now you're going to be prison now, Uncle. This is going to be our... Is there any more general business before we close?
Just one more. It was just around communication via the website. It never tells you if it's been received, and you would have got millions of emails from me, but it never says, I got your email. And I wondered if TToTW could spend the extra $200 or $300 to update it to actually say, we got it, because it just goes into a hole.
Well, cousin, I think I just want to add here, before we go, while we go into that space, is that Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua is launching our new website today, to now, soon. And in that, it's going to have all our contact details. Communicate directly.
Cool. Yeah, because the other email addresses you guys gave, I did use them, and it just come back, these don't exist. And I just thought, oh.
I do know that there was acknowledgement coming from a couple of emails that I've seen being CC'd in, and we do receive emails that come in from our whānau through our rep, who does share those emails coming through.
I just wondered if TToTW would consider the spending the $200 or $300 to have at least update the website to say we got it. Because I know that's how much it costs, because that's how much it costs my website to do it. Just something to say that it hasn't gone into a black hole.
I acknowledge. I know what you're saying.
Sorry, cousin, I must give some apologies for that as well. As you'll notice, we've, in terms of our communication set up, the website that we've been set up, we went with iwi.nz org name. So in terms of that, and we work with Sheridan to drive our emails addresses off that ID, so TWNART.iwi.nz, that's us. And because of that, we never had our mail services up and running as quickly as what we should have. We've now pretty much sussed that out, so we should be able to respond in a timely manner.
Thank you. So our beautiful Joanna is going to present this is our launch of our website.
Okay, so thank you Bob for kicking off our website, the beginnings of it. I've worked hard with Sheridan and Starlight Design to try and get this ready for today. So this is our landing page, our home page, where it's got our vision on it. The logo needs to be updated, so with T in front of. I'm just going to take you through each page really quickly so that you can refer to it from now on, because we'll be proactively updating it as we go along. So the next tab is marae and hapu, and when we click into here you're seeing each marae with a bit of a slideshow of photos, and the hapu as well for each marae. We've still got a bit more detail to add in there, like higher forms, but we'll get there. The next tab along is our kāhui. So again, starting with our mission statement, a little bit of a kōrero about how we've travelled and how we became. And underneath that tab is a little tab about our trustees and our area that we are supporting. Okay. The next one's the treaty settlement as well. So this one has a lot of photos and again, kōrero about how we've travelled through the whole process in time. So feel free to jump on there and have a good read of that one. It goes right down to the settlement process. And I'll just take that back up. Next one is references, and underneath that there's quite a few tabs. The first one we thought would pop up was the vision and the mission and the values that we took you through at the very beginning of our hui. And then at the top again, there's an area here if you need whānau from, doesn't have to be within New Zealand, could be overseas, they want to click in and read our trustee, they can click here onto the link. The next one is our strategic plan, and now that you've all confirmed that, we'll be able to upload a PDF format as well, and the video is there from when we presented back in September. All of our pānui is loaded up here as well, so we've sent out 4 to date, so again this can be available for all whānau to have a read of. And also the Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua videos, all right back from October in 2018, are also loaded up here as well for whānau to read. And the last thing on here is just a little slide for our annual general meeting. Obviously we're going to be updating and giving you more information that's going to come in here, so that information is yet to be uploaded. And then there's a register section as well, so register to TToTW. There's links within here that you can click on forms or email them directly. And again, we thought we'd put in a frequently asked questions as well. So underneath here, if you drop down, you can just click on there and read the answer, and that will be helpful for whānau to determine how to register. And lastly, our contact us page. So if you want to get a hold of us, you can email us or via our email addresses or on the admin at TWNART. And that's ready to go now, so we'll just continue to update as we travel along. So we've also got our emails that we send out as well, which you've received, and they'll be reflected up here on the website. And that's that.
Yeah. Question. Just me personally, I like to see a bit more on the Ngamotu Lagoon, because that's the claim. At the moment with the Ngamotu Lagoon. Okay, just that, I'd like to see a bit more on that.
Some more photos.
Maybe rolling photos.
Yeah, I think in the Marae page there's a slideshow, so when you get down to here, this is where we can add in more photos of our fun. At the moment we were just using what we currently had, so you know the ultimate aim is to get more people photos, more beautiful landscape photos of our and just build on that.
Well, you're also allowing this to be a platform for the booking, people to have their booking form on there for the marae, so there's another avenue that we can utilise for the marae to use in this forum. And also sharing information from the marae in this space as well. It's just another way of us utilising, because this belongs to Whakakī.
Do you have a social media presence?
No, and that's mainly because hey, there's only 3 of us. Managing that would be hard to get. Hey, managing the marae one's pretty but that one's, So we haven't looked at that space.
Just to carry on from what Boy is talking about in terms of the Ngamotu Lagoon, that was part and parcel of the claim from Ngamotu, from K2. Now, as a result of our negotiations, the Crown accepted that that Ngamotu was part and parcel of the grievance from this area, from K2. And so in recognition of that grievance, a board was agreed to in the claim. It wasn't agreed to by TWNART. It was agreed in the claim that a board be set up, and that board was to be called the Mātangi Reserves Board in recognition of Ki-2's grievance. So today we have the Mātangi Mātangi Reserves Board is formed with DOC, with the District Council, with TWNART, and there's the Marine Department. So there's four organisations in that board. I wonder where, I mean it takes time, I wonder where we as Mātangi, Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua, what part can we play in that board's going forward? Because that board is now taken over the Ngamotu because it's DOC, because of the Marine Department. And all those bureaucracies that have taken over that lagoon out there, which used to belong to us, our people. And now it's under a board, and District Council is part of that board, so, and so is TWNART. So do we as Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua feed our thoughts through TWNART, or we take umbrage at that and do a deputation to the District Council or even to TWNART? Because TWNART, whoever they put on is just going to say and be a noddy and say, yeah, okay, yes, we agree, like it has been for 100 years. But we need someone there to say this is what Ngamotu wants. This is what Ngamotu expects. So as part of that environmental responsibility of Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua, maybe that needs to be a thought. The Ki-2 had a genuine claim on the Ngamotu, but the Crown decided otherwise. We won't go there. But there was put together that board, and I think they're aware of the board now.
Just probably supplementary to Uncle Blighty's call about Mātangi Reserves Board. So the board has met twice, or perhaps 3 times thus far. So there's myself, there's Phil, and there's Orhan Manuel. So we're the delegates from TToTW who sit on there alongside 3 from the District Council. DOC is still a discussion that needs to be had in that context. Right, so I guess through any one of us 3, and I guess for Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua, I'm probably the quick pick, is to feed anything through there in terms of Mātangi Reserves Board that you want brought up as part of your agenda. Right.
Well, you see, what Boy and I, what we took to the Crown was Mihi kāhui, and that should be part and parcel of that Reserves Board. Mihi kāhui by the local iwi. See, all of this stuff, you've got to try and make it fit, eh? And Mihi kāhui was never, they claimed the foreshore of the seabed of the whole place, under the Foreshore Seabed Act. There is so much bloody bureaucracy out there that we got lost, so we just accepted the board. So we weren't lost altogether, we could still climb back in. Yeah, and I think Mihi kāhui is part of it, and then also there's the implication of the discharges into the river. You know, it all affects the Mātangi. So and that's what Ki-2 had in the claim. Yeah.
So one of the agenda items in discussion has been about the wastewater application by the District Council, but it's timely in terms of Mihi kāhui and what was in that earlier settlement claim discussion. is to bring that forward because we're on the advent of having to talk to DOC. And so we need to be well armed in terms of our information and what we can put through that board in anticipation of those discussions. Because DOC is likely just to give it back and nothing else comes with it in terms of the operational funding that they've been using up until this point. As I'm standing, I know we're bringing to a close. And so what I wanted to do is, I thought it was quite deliberate that you put up that flash website at the end there to sort of stun us into sort of silence. It was like that kinaki and that icing on the cake. But I just want to pick up the referred comments all the way through our AGM up until now. And that has been complimentary in terms of the work that you, as our 3 trustees, have been doing. I've probably been one and amongst us who have been close enough to observe and just see the effort, the time that you've put in thus far without any pay. And can I just throw this caution in terms of this complimentary comment to all 3 of you as we all move forward into 2020. And that is, now that you're going to be paid, our expectations go. Hoi anō kei runga ki tēnā, ko tāpune, Mihi, ki o koutou wera, me ki rau i o koutou mahi rangatira, mā tātou katoa o Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua, tēnei te mihi atu. Uncle's just asked if we can do our karakia. So our karakia is te koroniti. Nō reira, tēnā tātou e pūhia nei te hau, e ua hea nei te ua, e whitia nei te rangi. Tēnā te mihi atu ki tēnei tāhuhu o te whare o te Rauhina, e manaki mai e nei kōrero, e iringa kōrero, mai rai te tāhuhu o te whare, e o tipaira ki tēnei o tō tātou nei huinga. Tai atu rā kia whakaki, tai atu rā kia iwitea, tēnei te mihi kia tātou e hui tahi nei. I ngakia kia puawai, kia tai ai ki ngā moimuia o tātou katoa. Hoki mai au ki tēnei ngā pakake e noho kei Whakakī-Nui-A-Rua. E taumata noa tā koutou, āti, koutou rā noho nei ke runga te pai, ngā me pakake ake, i te wai ngā piki i ngā heke, a ko huri mai ngā kanuhi pēnei ngā tāriti nei, hoki mai ngā kanuhi kia koutou. E whakaro rangatira e tuku iho, kia tai ai te iho ki o tātou nei mātua tipuna, nō reira tēnei te mihi ki o koutou, e kore rā koutou i ware tia i a tātou katoa. Nō reira kia tātou katoa. Pea ta whai i o tātou riki o i traiti. Me te aroha o te atua, me te whiwhinga tahitanga ki te wairua tāpuru. Āke. Āmene. Kia ora tata.